All right, so we're here for another week of. We had to change the name actually because there's someone else has Tesla tidbits, and they actually have like over 400 videos and podcasts. So I checked them out. I haven't checked them out yet, but check them out. Maybe see what kind of things you can hear from them. But we're truncating our title. Then we're Titillating Tesla Chat, Titillating Tesla Chat instead of Titillating Tesla Tidbits. Just in case you're very, very concerned about the title of our weekly podcast and video chat. So today we're talking about all Tesla, and also BMW. Yikes! But it's really all about Tesla. So to kick things off, we have Tesla U.S. sales. Our basically Tesla Model 3 sales in the U.S. might be putting it in the number 5 position now in the US, only behind much lower priced Tesla, Toyota Corolla, Toyota Camry, Honda Civic, and Honda Accord. And so that means it's basically crushing luxury cars, and it might even be selling more. Tesla might be seeing now more sales starting this month or next than BMW in the United States, if you combine all models. So not just the competitors for the Model 3, but if you combine all models, which is pretty wild. Just BMW, like anywhere, is an iconic brand. It's an amazing company with a lot of history, a lot of tremendous engineering, and it's pretty wild to think that Tesla might be passing them up now. And also, BMW's largest or second largest factory is in the US. It's in South Carolina. So it's I mean, this is a serious market for BMW. So what are you guys' thoughts? I've written about it. People don't need to hear me talk about it too much. What are you guys' thoughts on this this pretty epic milestone?
Well, hello, first of all. Hello, Zach, the man who spoke to Elon.
Oh, you want to be introduced, or what?
Each time and every time, of course.
Yeah, people know you by face. I mean, you must have a hard time walking down the street, and people are like, "Hey, don't you know that guy who talked to Elon?"
That's exactly what's happening here in Poland. Seriously, I mean, I'm not that excited about the sales figures. I've never been. I know, but it's like, if you think about Tesla, compiling all these orders, I know it was huge, but they compiled the orders, and now they just keep manufacturing and, distributing the cars. So if we let BMW, have one model that they wait and collect all the orders and then start selling them. So for a couple of months, they will have great figures, right?
I've got a response for that, but keep going, yeah, and Tomek chime in too.
I'm just my question is, do you think there will be a moment when it will level off? Just for Tesla, that once it passes, but I don't know, it will take years, right?
Yeah, I'll let Tomek go first.
And anyway, number of orders that have come, will they level off, or maybe go down?
Actually, I'm quite surprised that as we can read, in a bit more than 1 year, they produced 75,000 Model 3s. That's really, and it's 6,000 a week. So we have really nice figures. And if in comparison with like you said, BMW or other really well-known producers, it's really surprising that a so young company, as we can say, Tesla, can really
it's a little crazy that they hold it to such a high standard. Like, there's so much obsession with Tesla's not going fast enough, and they're not reaching their targets fast enough. And it's like, but if you think about it in the terms you just put it, it's basically a teenage company, and it's already at this level, which is pretty mind-blowing. I mean, I think it's mind-blowing. I'm shocked that he sort of was able to hit target after target of his master plan.
And actually, the other companies, as BMW or Jaguar, are really underlining that they are old companies. When I was driving E-Type, the Polish manager of Jaguar just told us, sorry, Tesla, that just the for iPhone in the code of car, and we Jaguar, we are producing cars for 75 years. This is the car. Tesla, it's like not. But this
so he called it like the iPhone of cars, but didn't seem to get the point that means Nokia's dead. that Nokia's got a problem if the iPhone of cars comes along. No, I mean, the thing that's interesting. I mean, I love Jaguars are beautiful cars, and I love when I see them. Your wife has a BMW. It's a nice, wonderful car, but it's such a totally different level. I remember when Jacek and I were at a coffee shop with Tesla Shuttle in Poland, and a guy had it was a Jaguar XF or something. XF.
Well, it was a super
quite similar to.
It was a large Jaguar, similar to the Model S in size, and he circled the roundabout and he came back and he had his head out the window, and he was an old guy. Like, I mean, maybe not old, but he was perhaps retirement age. I don't know. And he wanted to get in the car. He sort of vaguely knew about it, and he wanted to get in and see it. And he got in and he told us, "Wow, this is way nicer than he didn't say way nicer. He put it in different terms. This is much nicer than the Jaguar I just bought. Like I should have bought this or something like that." It was like,
yeah, but he still said that he wanted to have the brand, so he wanted to have this Jaguar. So he appreciated Tesla as far if you remember it, but said, "Well, I couldn't really buy it because nobody knows Tesla." That's what he thought.
Yeah.
So he needed a Jaguar. Right?
So he has Jaguar for the brand, and there's a demographic who, seriously, I mean, they're the people they're friends with. They're gonna recognize and respect and love a Jaguar and not a Tesla. And that brings us to another story. Well, we'll come back to is the experience in the Tesla store that I went to, where they highlighted that it's the kids. The kids love Tesla, and they're driving this. And when when they grow up more, they're going to be looking to Tesla. They're going to have no care about Jaguar or BMW, whatever. It's their whole generation is going to be like, Tesla's the thing to get.
It's interesting that you bring it up. Sorry, Tomek, go ahead.
I just remember the few months ago, I went to Mercedes shop with a friend who has no limitation to how much money he wants to spend on the car. And from outside, really, Mercedes has really nice cars. And but when we sat inside, each of these, including model like Mercedes S, so like class S class, still it wasn't even near to Tesla inside, and still Tesla is the same like in from 2012, is it? So it's inside, it doesn't change much. So even though still Mercedes inside, maybe just lately, but not in March or April this year, it wasn't near to Tesla inside.
That's interesting.
But
about the
go ahead. I'll come back to Mercedes. I have similar kind of
just about the kids, because it's interesting what's happening here. I mean, we're in Poland, right? So we are on the outskirts of this EV revolution in a way. And
possibly Poland is also a very tech focused country.
Yes, but I live in a small town, like really small, right? It's 17,000 people, so it's a village almost, right? And a few times I had kids coming over and shouting Tesla and taking photos of me in the car.
And how old were they?
Like, I'm telling you, one of them was 6 or 7. The other one, actually, yesterday, a boy with his mom stopped me in the car park. The boy was like 9, maybe maximum, right? And his eyes were huge, and his hands were shaking with the telephone, and he took pictures. And I said, "Hey, go ahead, sit inside," right? I mean, he couldn't get out of the car, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that these are if you look at the awareness level, and you compare ages, it's higher with these ages of 7, 8, 9 in Poland. I'm afraid, than older
It's
generations.
it's crazy, and
it's crazy.
I really wondered a bit like how it really happened. And we have a reader, 22, who said he was 16 when he first got into Tesla, from the Netherlands, and we need to. He's on our team now, so we need to get. I'm curious to get more insight from him on how he got into it at 16. Is it just something that people passed around YouTube videos of the car or something? I'm curious just exactly how it happens. But obviously, it's big. The salespeople at the store were mentioning, that sometimes a kid just brings his parents in and they're just like, hey, he wants a test drive. Can we go for a ride? A lot of teenagers just hang out there and they sort of have to like say, hey, move along now, or they bring their parents in and they tell their parents all about the car, and then the parent maybe buys one. But regarding Mercedes, I wanted to be very objective, and you get this kind of, one of the things you get a lot of pushback on when you write about Tesla a lot is the claim that Mercedes and BMW are nicer in like interior ways. Mm-hmm. And in other ways. So I wanted to go test drive an S-Class to really objectively compare them well. So I went to the Mercedes dealership, brand new Mercedes dealership in Wrocław. They ended up, they don't give test drives very easily at all. Not like if you go to a Tesla store. And the guy was cool. He let me, we sat in the car for a while. He actually went for a test ride in our Tesla, in the Tesla shuttle. But I was, the seats were comfier. Nowadays, the Tesla seats are nicer, so it's very similar. Our 2015 Tesla, the seats are harder a bit, but the infotainment, the touchscreen, the controls, it just feels like such a last century thing, yeah. And you just feel like, wow, this is really like they're really out of date. I mean, even though it's the most advanced on the market for like ICE cars, for gas cars, it just was like, wow, this is so far behind Tesla, and you just struck with that.
This is exactly what we felt then. So the same experience. The design in Tesla is so unique and like new, fresh, that you getting back to Mercedes Class S. It's like getting to the last stage.
So it's still a Nokia.
Yeah, Nokia. I mean, it's a nice Nokia. It's like, no, but it is really, it just feels, and of course some people obviously prefer this old, they're used to it, they prefer the old controls. There's these people who don't immediately take to the touch screen, but overall it seems like if you're not too set in your ways and you're open-minded, you get into a Tesla and you see it feels nicer, it feels cleaner, it feels more natural for this century. But yeah, I don't know. But back to the sales. So the thing, we don't really know. Obviously, we don't know. It's unprecedented. They did not expect so many reservations. I've heard from people inside that it's that really the amount of reservations they got blew people away, even at Tesla. Like they weren't expecting that many. That was the high, even maybe above the high end estimates from the internal team.
Do we know now if the reservations are withdraw, or they still?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So some analysts kept claiming that people were canceling at a high rate, and every time Elon has had to respond to this, he's been like, I mean, the last times he's been like, actually, the new reservations are more than the cancellations. So they're getting more reservations each week, more new reservations or orders each week than they're getting cancellations. So they're having a net.
Remember that they didn't come to Europe, and because me myself, I'm kind of waiting to have something to test in Europe, yeah. And then to make a reservation.
And the other thing, but if you go back in time really far, the Model S and the Model X, this happened every time with Tesla's vehicles. They claimed that this initial reservation pile, when it went away, the demand would fall. And there's month after month after month, there was this claim, oh, demand is falling. There's nonstop for the past like 6 years. Oh, Tesla demand is really falling now. And it's never been falling. It's like they've done something.
It's like it's I know it's a good argument, but it's, as you said, that the number of reservations for Model 3 is unprecedented, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's way higher than Model S,
But
Model X before.
but it's also, I mean, they're producing right now.
Please, I'm not trying to say that it's wrong, right?
No. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
The key question for me is how many of them come from Europe? Like, what is the limit for the States, and when will they start selling to Europe? Will the figures still hold so good for the States, right?
Yeah, historically, I mean, that's the thing. You don't know how many people can be in this price category. The uplifting thing is a lot of people are trading in, like much lower price cars, Honda Civic, Honda Accord, Toyota Prius. So it's like clear that this is expanding the pool, the population of this class. But the other thing is they're still selling quite expensive Model 3s only here. They haven't even started delivering $35,000 Model 3s. So if there's this much still demand for these $50,000 to $80,000 Model 3s, I mean, I'm a little shocked that there's that much demand for this price Model 3, because those people could have got a Model S, and instead they waited and they got a Model 3. And so when it gets down to delivering the 35,000, I think there's a lot of people waiting to get the 35,000. I think that's a big pull. And then after that, they can start delivering to Europe, which we don't know how many people, but there's obviously a lot there as well. But the other thing is,
one is ours, right?
We have a lot of Model 3 buyers now on our, who have got their Model 3 now, who comment a lot on our site. And a lot of them are selling the car to a lot of people. So they get a car and they sell it to like 3 to 10 more people. So I'm cautious. I'm not going to make any claims about
it's a snowball now.
But it's pretty like there's a big portion of people who could get this car and can be sold on the $35,000 Model 3. But who knows?
But that's exactly why our idea of Tesla Shuttle will work, because more and more people will have a car. It's still not a cheap car, right? But it's a great car. So we'll definitely offer good opportunities for Tesla owners.
And also, I think the whole EV awareness globally is going higher and higher. So it's kind of possible that some people would never choose an electric vehicle, but because they've seen, I don't know, Hyundai or BMW i3 or some other EV, and it's okay, they might also choose Tesla just like the other way around. So
yeah, they might get attracted to a certain model electric, and then when they start to learn more, they realize, hey, I actually want a Tesla because they have supercharging.
At least why not?
But I think the awareness is huge. I mean, one of the things that has always surprised us in this Tesla shuttle business that we talked about last time is people assume often that the price is much higher than it is. They don't realize the low operating costs, that they don't realize the free charging and supercharging. They don't realize that all of this helps you to have a service that's quite cost competitive. So they just see it in this kind of Aston Martin, Maserati range maybe, because they know it's an exotic car, they know it's expensive. So I think what happens with the Model 3 partly too is that all of a sudden people can say, oh, well, the base price is 35,000, and then they can explain the nuance. You can't get that car yet, or whatever. But they can, but they all of a sudden their minds open. Hey, that's 35,000. I could do that, and then they think about it. And before it's like, oh, it's 80,000, and they stop thinking about it. And I think there's a kind of psychological thing going on here where the base for the Model 3, even at this price they're delivering right now, is much higher just because people open their minds to it more, I think, maybe, and then maybe did calculations, learned about total cost of ownership.
And from European point of view, I think it might be also that somebody choose first, I don't know, Renault Zoe or Nissan Leaf.
Right.
And the second step might be Tesla Model 3 or even S.
Is there someone I know who might fit that description? It's like, oh yeah, right. No, but you can actually talk about it a little bit, Tomek, because you were one of the first. I always give you. Oh, there's a Model X driving. I always give you a little more credit than. But you said you're in the first 100 at least who got an electric car.
Around 50. Yeah.
Around 50.
In Poland.
Can you explain a little bit your yeah, your history getting the Nissan Leaf and thinking about Tesla along the way?
Man, that was so long time ago.
Yeah, at the time Tomek bought his Nissan Leaf, people didn't know how to register these cars.
Oh yes, and
That's what I read.
and I was also confused because I was testing cars which were registered in Czech Republic, and so we were like confused how it's gonna be, but it's actually it happened. So I just seen a few YouTube films with different EVs. I think that time it was just of the Leaf and Tesla Model S. It was 2013, and I was like, then I tried to make a test drive, and when I sat in the Nissan Leaf, really, I was so surprised it can like drive by itself, like with no
Yeah.
like no barking, no shaking and everything. That I was even sitting in Tesla Model S. Like 2 years later, wasn't so shocking for me as sitting in standard 24 kilowatt hours.
We should have some kind of your first time event where people talk about their first time. That it's such a dramatic experience. My first time was with a BMW i3, and unsurprisingly, I ended up getting a used i3 here because that first experience was like, wow, this is freaking amazing. And you're just like blown away, and it always sticks in your mind. But that's actually one of the things I can't say I dislike it about Tesla, because I'm afraid the awareness wouldn't be there anyway. But a lot of people don't realize how premium all electric cars feel, how they feel very high premium class driving experience, because people are sort of prejudiced. They're sort of like, oh, it's not a Tesla, so it's crap, whatever. And people don't recognize, no, actually there's a lot of great non-Tesla electric cars as well, and just the electric drivetrain puts it at a certain level. But at the same time, if Tesla wasn't here, I don't think it would be much better. I think people still wouldn't realize that they're even out there. And so Tesla has brought the awareness. The downside is it's sort of shamed every other player on the market, but you know, that
You're
can
right.
be a pro and a con. I don't know.
Every time I have somebody in our Tesla, in Tesla Shuttle, each time I go, I say that you get a similar sensation and experience in every electric vehicle. And I just keep saying it, just to make sure that people understand. It's not just a Tesla and that's it, right?
That's
like,
awesome.
It's not like iPhone and that's it, right? I'm sorry to say. So I keep saying it, and I keep promoting Renault Zoe, which is my first love.
And
Renault Zoe is that's your first one?
No, I actually Tesla Model S was first, but it was so short, and I was so shocked. I don't remember much. And then Renault Zoe was for a couple of days, so it was a real experience, right?
Yeah, and my experience with companies that are considering using our services, what they actually do use, and it's that they see when they sit in the Leaf, they might be surprised, but if they sit in the Model S, they see why the whole transportation can be electric, just because it's now wow, now I understand that that's the future. Yeah. Because Leaf or Zoe, they are nice, surprising, and it's everything what I felt few years ago. But Tesla says, man, you can do everything with electric. You can go like 3 seconds to 100. It's all in one. So
I don't remember if we talked about this before, if it was in a comment thread, but the way I think about it these days is the top competitors sort of go to 80%. It's like, you know, you sort of the Jaguar I-Pace, the new Nissan Leaf, they're sort of like 80% effort. You know, Tesla's 100 or 110% or whatever you want to call it. They have a full, you know. So the top competitors these days are still wonderful cars. I mean, 80% of a Tesla effort, I think, is still an amazing car. Yeah. But you just see, if you've been in both, you know, you get in a Nissan Leaf, and you look at this little screen, and you look at the backup camera, which is half the screen, and you're like, and you realize, and the i3, you know, we have some of the most frustrating things are you know what you're missing from a you know you're missing the great infotainment system, the better drive quality, you know, what's it called, the ultimate driving machine, the ultimate driving machine of the Tesla vehicle, Tesla Model 3 especially, and the autopilot. It's just got the full package, like you said. And these others are wonderful cars, but they're just not quite.
But also for some people, they would never decide to buy Tesla, unknown badge, but they do decide to buy Renault, Nissan, or BMW just because
they know the brand.
Yeah. So.
And I'm finishing up this big EV driver report again. We'll have to see if Tesla Shuttle is going to be a co-sponsor again. But we surveyed over 2,000 EV drivers and over 1,000 potential EV drivers across a bunch of European countries and the US and Canada. And wait, what were you talking about? What was the topic? I lost my train.
We talk about all the extra things that you have in the Tesla.
No, what was your last comment, Tommy?
Now I think we can say that next week we will say something about Tesla Shuttle in US. Is it a good time?
Yes, we will. But I had a thought. What was there was a big point. The brand. So, you know, we have a lot of responses from people who have a Nissan Leaf or a Chevy Bolt or a Chevy Volt or some other, and you see this kind of brand loyalty still. You see kind of a lot of Nissan Leaf owners plan to next get a next generation Leaf. A lot of Chevy Volt owners plan to next get a Chevy Bolt. So you see these kind of people who like to stick with their brand, and they prefer. And believe me, you can't write about electric car these days without getting slammed from fans of another model or brand, because everyone's got their brand or their model now, and there's just a lot of passion for the Chevy Bolt, the Nissan Leaf, the Renault Zoe, and there's a lot of reasons to buy these other cars as well, not just Teslas. But yeah, Tesla Shuttle is bringing EVs to a lot more people, and we will talk about that more next week and have a big announcement.
Yeah, we will.
Is that it? You guys want to go to bed?
Yes.
It's almost midnight. I hope your dresses aren't going to turn into rags.
Yeah, right.
Cinderella.
We always stay up late.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We'll chat soon.
Thanks a lot.
Have a good evening.